All right, and we are live from the Philly Bitcoin Meetup. We are at a bar. I've already been drinking. You guys don't see me on camera. You see my drink though. It's almost done. And we got a couple of we got a couple of cool cats right here, right in the front row. Got Camboza, we got Mike the comedian. Man, I'm putting you on the spot here. You got to say a few words.
All right, a few words. My real last name is
What about his tattoos, man? Don't forget that.
Yeah, I need to get Bitcoin tattoos. What do they pay you for these? Because I'm getting ready to quit my job so I can go full time.
No, dude, no, show the other arm. I love how Decred is fading in the tattoo, just like the project, man. I love it.
Do you want to come on tour with us? Serious. Oh my God, we're gonna be in New York City. You can come with us in less than 30 days on May 11th. That's not a plug or anything.
I'll be there.
Okay. How goes it, guys? We got Tone Bays at the Bitcoin PHL Meetup, one of the oldest Bitcoin meetups and the oldest Bitcoin meetup in Philadelphia, blessing us for the third time. Thank you very much, Tone. I guess we can get into it, and then we'll do some Q&A at the end.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see a few words, Mike.
I mean, you look like you wanted me to say more. I have them here. They're playing for later. So, all right. If you wanted to hear them, you should have showed up.
It's all good. I guess it's my show. All right, guys. You got the camera. The camera's on the audience. Let's everybody hear me in the back. I can speak louder. We're good? All right. Yeah. Let's I have a million presentations, but probably not the best time to go through the presentations right now. So I'm just gonna take another look at the price. Did a video this morning. Not gonna talk about them, man. Like, these shirts, man. This shirt's amazing. You recognize the emoji?
Yeah.
It's an emoji of it's all the shit coins in the emoji of shit.
Yeah. The shit is shit. I didn't get it until you explained it. Thanks.
So I'm still bearish here, guys. I'm still bearish because look, I know it pains to say it, but I still see this as a bull trap. Until we see price significantly break out, I was always looking for price to stay at going into this $5,000 range, going a little over 5,000. I said 5,100. We went to 5.4, and now I'm expecting the tough times to begin. We'll see what happens. Next week, there's going to be a nice long debate on my channel. Willie Woo and a few other very notable analysts. They think the bottom is in. I don't. Tyler Jenks doesn't. And we're going to discuss it on the YouTube channel later on. We have a weekly, that's the daily chart. We have a weekly chart right here. Got to wait till next week. If next week starts trading below this blue line at $5,000, I think Bitcoin's in serious financial trouble. The daily chart, as long as we stay, again, above $5,000, it's kind of neutral. Once we break this red line, once we break 5K again, I think Bitcoin is in serious trouble. Here's the 12-hour chart. Again, same exact thing. Got a line at 5,030 bucks. Breaking below this line gets Bitcoin into trouble. I am definitely leaning more bearish than bullish right now. If we can get above 52 and stay there, I can go back to being bullish. Until we do, I'm bearish. Today was Saturday. Traditional markets didn't trade. I'd rather open this up to Q&A. There's really not much more I can say than a price video this morning. So we can do some Q&A. I will repeat your questions for the live stream. And people are like asking me to stop yelling. But I have to yell because we're at a bar and people are sitting further in the back. So you guys got to turn your volume down.
I guess I'll kick it off with a question that may already have an answer in it, but is it due to that single whale purchase that may have started the unsustainable run up? Is that anything that could be associated to why we have this run up?
I wouldn't call this a run up, right? Like this whole thing happened in 2 days, right? So 2 days doesn't make it a run. So this does look like a single large purchase that went through the order book. So this is a very short-term run-up. And if you're saying, I mean, I wasn't looking at the order book. I was too busy to look at the news. This happened while I was traveling. If this was due to a single whale buying trade, then it's literally the definition of not sustainable.
Thank you.
And that's another reason to assume we're going lower.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to ask something more altcoin related. I know you love them. Just curious on what altcoin right now do you think has the potential, just from looking at the chart, to keep up with the momentum that we've started to see recently? And if so, why? And not saying fundamentally, just from looking at the chart of any other competing coin, does anybody have a chance?
I can't answer that question because I need to look at the charts of the altcoins, which I don't.
So none of them have your attention at the moment?
No, well, none of them ever have my attention, but occasionally when I'm in a good mood and someone asks me to look at altcoin X from a technical perspective, I will look at it. So if you have an altcoin in mind that you want me to give a technical TA opinion on, I'm happy to take a look at it.
Just don't do decreds, okay? Does anybody have any questions for Tone? I want to open it up because I can do this all day.
I guess my question would be, what do you think about Tom Lee's fund strat, Bitcoin misery index, as any kind of indicator? Because today, I think it just flips to trying to say that the bottom is in, at least from their viewpoint.
All right, you want to repeat the question?
Tom Lee's Bitcoin misery index. What kind of weight does it hold up?
Well, let's take a look. I'm not very familiar with the Tom Lee's misery index. So this is an article from Cointelegraph published April 12th. I believe that was yesterday. Tom Lee's Bitcoin misery index hits highest value since 2016 in possible bull signal. So let's see what that means. The last time we were this high, it was, but see, the difference is the bear market ended in 2015. So we were already in a bull market back then. Now we're in a bear market. So the Bitcoin misery index, the historical range from 0 to 100, 100 being happy, okay. The formula equals the z-score of win ratio plus the z-score of upside downside volatility. I actually have no idea what all that means. So let me look at it another way. So the last time, I'm really not familiar with this metric. This pattern of the Bitcoin misery index looks more like these readings in 2015 and 2017. I mean, maybe, right? But even so, even if this is the first indication of a bull market, that would have occurred right there. And you can see how we still made a substantial dip then after. So this is just the first hit of the Bitcoin misery index. I think that Bitcoin doesn't have enough history to do something this substantial. So I generally have no opinion. And as you can see, we did break this red line back in 2017, and it didn't look very good after that. So there's also an indication that we're oversold. So 6/13 2016, 6/13 2016 was the summer. I'm not sure how useful this index is, right? Because we were in a bull market. Let's look at this, right? We were in a bull market from, say, late 2015 all the way to 2017. So from late 2015 on this index, this is 11.4. I would consider this late 2015. And we were in a bull market all the way up to early 2018, which is here. So during a bull market where Bitcoin generally did nothing but go up, this index went beyond a sell signal 1, 2, 3, 4 times and below the buy signal 1, 2, almost 3 times. And if this is a buy signal and this is a sell signal, right? Look, sell signal above 65, we're at 89. So shouldn't we be selling right now? So once again, I'm not exactly sure what this index represents. And I'm not sure how to really use it. Is it a long-term indication or a short-term indication? To me, if someone is saying this is the highest it's been since here, that is a time to sell. So as a long-term metric, this isn't very useful. This looks like a short-term metric, and by short-term, I mean a few months. So this looks like a selling opportunity right now, not a buying opportunity. The last time it was this high was 613, but we were in a bull market. It kept going up. So I'm not exactly sure what it means. I may need more time to look at it. Next question.
So you said you're still pretty bearish. What would it take for you to change your stance and maybe become more bullish? Is there anything that you're kind of waiting for that may take place, or any indications that you're waiting to take place on the charts?
Very good question. So
I had one.
Yes. So you want me to answer it? I'll answer both. You want me to talk about fundamental or technical?
Oh, if you could cover both, that would be great. But I would start with the fundamental. Start with the fundamental, please.
All right. So from a fundamental perspective, I would need a major economic event that does not involve a major catastrophe. So yes,
Venezuela.
There is a little bit of a middle ground there somewhere, right? So a bigger crackdown on tax havens in the Caribbean. Some kind of a something like a Euro country getting kicked out, or let's say Spain splitting, Catalonia decides to do its own currency and split off from Spain. The European Union gets pissed at Spain for not keeping their shit together and allowing their country to break up into parts, kicks out Spain out of the European Union. Now Spain has 2 other currencies. The people in Spain now have to hedge their, God knows what's going on with their currency. They go to Bitcoin. Neighboring countries of Spain say, hey, if they're going to kick Spain out, maybe they're going to kick out Italy. Maybe we should hedge into Bitcoin. So some kind of a major event that is not catastrophic. That would be great for Bitcoin. These are all great things for Bitcoin. That's a fundamental event.
Right.
A real country saying, hey, we paid another country in Bitcoin. Again, fundamental event.
Like waiting for a crude oil purchase, nation to nation.
No, I don't buy the whole crude oil thing.
No?
More like, we have to pay one country for their stuff, and it's just easier to use Bitcoin.
Okay.
I'm a believer that the only oil relevance has is oil is priced in US dollars. Paying for oil, who cares? I can go pay for oil in euros. It'll just get converted to US dollars at the spot market. Like, nobody cares. It's just priced in US dollars. So from a technical perspective, what would change my mind that this was the low and this was the second low? The second low was too close to the first low. If we fall to this green line, currently sitting at 4,000, and then bounce strong from that line, and we don't have to break 5,000, but we have to bounce strong enough to have a high probability of breaking above 5,000, that would turn me bullish. And if we can get above 6.5, that will let me admit that the low is in. I will be bullish on a back test. In fact, I've been meaning to do this, and now might be the perfect time. We got a tip. We got a tip with a comment.
Thanks.
$20. Do you want to know what the comment is?
Yes, please.
Ken Bozak is worthless.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Not Ken Bozak. Shit, I thought it was Ken Bozak. Damn it. Kevin Barakman. Do we know who that is?
Close.
I'll send you 50 if you tell me what you really think about him. What's your address?
Damn, I thought it was Ken Bozak.
I'll send it. Hold on. Come on, Ken, open up. $50.
50
How do I? What's your Bitcoin wallet?
It's right here.
It's not. Is that
Doesn't work anymore.
scannable?
It doesn't
It's
scan
like them
anymore.
strippers.
It's like the stripper.
Dude, you got scammed on a tattoo.
Yeah.
No, he didn't get scammed on a tattoo. He got big.
I got it.
Big company.
So back in the day, I'm gonna have to go to Liberty Life Trail here, a website I kind of decommissioned, but I haven't moved all my stuff from there yet. So if I go to Liberty Life Trail, only because like all the articles I've ever written back in 2014 and 15 are on that website. I built that website, which is why it's taken a reasonable time to load. Publications. I'll show you what I'm looking for. So I started writing this series on Cointelegraph to teach trading. So what I'm looking for is, I think there was an article called Intro to Trend. There it is. Written August 24th, 2014. So if we look for this article, there it is, Intro to Trend. Back in the days of Tone Vase had hair. So right here, okay, where's the graphic? The hell? Intro to Trend. Oh, maybe it wasn't Intro to Trend. Damn it, hold on, let me look through those articles one more time. It was something about a trend reversal. Man. Hold on. It would have been back then. Don't blame the bear whale was one of the articles. Arbitrage, Fibonacci. Man. One second. Bitcoin analysis. Oh, it's the other direction. Hold on. Volume patterns, that wouldn't be it. Maybe that one. I really thought it was Intro to Trend. I really did. Man. I don't see that picture. All right, so we're gonna go to Google. We're gonna do trend change. Trend change, higher or low. Now we go to images. I really need to learn how to spell. Try this again. That didn't work at all. Oh, that wasn't, no mind. I did spell right. So what we're looking for is this. And I think I even used this exact chart. What we're looking for is a clear higher low. So we are potentially here. Maybe. It's a little strange, but we're potentially here. What we need is this. Now, you can come back at me and say, hey, you had a higher low right here. This is a higher low than this, but it's too close. They're too close and they're too soon. This didn't go high enough and this wasn't high enough from that. So I'm skeptical, but because this was already a little higher than the previous, what we need is to pull back, make a very clear higher low, like in this particular picture, right? Look, this is listed as 150. I know it's not a general thing, but I just look at this random picture from the internet. This is 150. This is 200. That's a 33% higher low. If we look at Bitcoin,
is this something that you'll talk about in the workshop tomorrow? We'll have seats available if anyone wants to register.
Yes, we do have a workshop tomorrow in Philly if anyone still wants to register. So this is just a general concept, right? And you can see how in this general concept, this is 150 and this is 200. So that's a 33% increase in price. That's a reasonable higher low. If we look at Bitcoin on a weekly scale, this is 31, well, let's say 3,200. But this is 3,400. So this is a $200 on a $3,200 asset. So that's like what, 2%, 3%? It's not 30%. So while it is a higher low, it's within margin of error of the original low. You need a substantially higher low. Now, if we pull back to 4,000, now going by this random image, 150 to 200 is 33%. 3,000 ballpark to 4,000 ballpark is 25%. Now it becomes a clearly higher low. We also moved past this high, creating a new high. So in order for me to turn bullish from a technical perspective, I need a pullback to 4,000 and a strong bounce that's going to break this $5,000 high.
Is there a timeline you're looking for that balance?
There's no timeline.
Okay.
There's no timeline here. In fact, the longer it takes to do, the better. If it happens quickly, it's not very good. So you want this, if this bounces to occur, you want it to happen late May or May, not this month, next month. You want it in May, and then you want to bounce strong and go past this in June. Okay, June, July. That would turn me bullish. If we don't get the pullback and we continue going up, I would need us to be above $7,000. So unfortunately, I will always see this as a bull trap unless it breaks a lot of resistance. At least it needs to break this moving average. That's the last thing. I mean, that would look bad for me, because the last thing I want to do is turn bullish at $8,000 or $9,000. I don't want to turn bullish at $8,000 or $9,000. I want to turn bullish at $2,000 after we drop below 2. If the low is in, I want to turn bullish at $4,500, but not the $4,500 that we had last week. The $4,500 that is coming after a clean pullback to 4,000. If we don't get it, then I'm forced to turn bullish after we go continuously straight up enough. The thing is, because I became a bear around 15,000, at any point, me becoming a bull below 15,000 still makes me right. So I have a lot of leeway and time in order to turn bullish and still be responsible to the followers of my channel. As long as I turn bullish below the price where I turn bearish. And I turn bearish, I know exactly what day, because I looked back and I did a video, and I believe it was around January 10th of 2018, which now feels like a lifetime ago. 1801 12. I turned bearish over here on this 3 candle when it went below 2. That's when I knew it was over, right here. Around this area here, January 9 to January 11, I went bearish. So as long, and that was around 14.8. So as long as I turn bullish below the area where I turn bearish, I'll sleep just fine at night. Questions?
I could keep asking them if nobody else has any. All right,
Oh,
we got
and
Matt
if
from,
I went to the waitress, I can use I needed the cider for the food, but now hey Mike, 1800 reposado. 1800 reposado with lime on the rocks. The best tequila
Matt,
they
you want to
have
come
here.
up and ask? Mike?
Sorry guys, I usually go a little better than 1800 reposado, but it's the best they got.
What's your long term? Like year or two out?
So yeah, Matt from Steam Monsters over there is asking what your long-term perspective is.
So a year or two out isn't exactly long term, and unfortunately, a year or two out, we could still be in some trouble. So I'm looking at this. If the stars and the moon align, and for me to increase my following by 10x, I need the low to show up on October 5th, 2019. It's not a random date. It's a strategic date. Keep an eye on October 5th, 2019. I'll have lots more to say about it later. The problem is I'm not expecting new all-time highs until potentially 2023. So going a year or two out, while we're going to be in a bull market following the next halving, I don't believe we'll be at new all-time highs. So if we go into 2021, I think we will be in a bull trend, but not at new all-time highs. So basically, if I go backwards in time, right here, we were in a bull trend. I'd say we were in a bull trend. So here's over here, when we broke out of this triangle right there. This was the true bull trend starting in May 2016, just $500, right? If we go into a year later, right? A year later, we're in April 2017. We're still below the 2013 all-time high. So 2013 all-time high, April 2017, 4 years later, 3.5, we're still not at new all-time highs. 3.5 years later. I think this one's going to be longer because this one was not driven by shit coins.
Yeah.
The current one was. So we gotta, it's gonna take us a little more to dig out of a hole. And therefore, if it took us 3.5 years before to make it back up, we topped in, let's say, January 2018. Let's just go up a month. So let's add, excellent, thank you so much. There it is, 1800 reposado on the rocks. Shit, spilling alcohol on my computer. Sorry, I can use a good cleaning. But so that was it took us 3.5 before. Let's add 3.5 to January 2018. Puts us at 21.5. Right? This right here, 21.5, that's around here. So I think it's gonna take a little bit longer. So a couple of years from now, while I think we would have bottomed, I think we're still going to be way below 20K. But you should be buying then. Next question.
Question? What do you like? So his audience can hear.
So let's say this
And
projection.
closer.
Yeah.
It's got room.
So this your projection makes total sense, fully on board. But you're just saying at 8,000, let's say, because the price goes above in the short term, and you will change your mind. We'll be in the bull market. How does that look?
That starts to look very interesting because now we're in a bull market way earlier than I expected, which is why I don't expect it. Now, if we did bottom, and like I said, the only metric that I have seen that makes me consider the bottom is in is the miner adjusted price, the mined Bitcoin price. So this is the price of Bitcoin on the day that it was mined by the number of Bitcoin that was mined that day. And what you have to notice is the big drop right here was the last halving. And the prior big drop in right here was the halving before that. So I'm a believer. The reason why 1300 was my bottom call is because 1300 is the vicinity of the last bubble top. And I'm a believer that prices like to come back and retest old bubble tops, which is why, and there's no like, there's no time limit here. Like there's no, what's the term I'm looking for? Man, statute of limitations. There's no statute of limitations here. I'm still waiting for gold to fall to its all-time bubble top of 875, which took place in 1980. We're 1 year away from 40 years from that date. And gold is a lot closer to 875 than to its latest all-time high of 1900. Okay? So there's no time element here, right? But gold doesn't cut its production in half because of a math code. And because of that, if you factor in the halvings, Bitcoin did fall back and touch the all-time high of 2013, based on the fact that half Bitcoins are mined today versus then. And when Bitcoin fell to 3,000, production was half as much as before. You cut that in half, and that does take you down to that $1,300 area, give or take. Okay? So technically, Bitcoin did backtest the prior all-time high, but only if you look at it from the amount of market cap that Bitcoin mines per day, not the price of a single Bitcoin. So this is interesting. That's the only real evidence I've seen that would allow me to say Bitcoin has bottomed, because the chart doesn't look like Bitcoin has bottomed. Okay?
Do you have any chart metrics or indicators for day traders, more short term, like 5-minute candles, things like that? Because right now, a lot of people are starting to get into the day trading again and things like that, and try to get some of those frequently asked questions out of the way, or things that, like, you know, people may do inappropriately when trying to short using metrics in a day trader mentality instead of more long term.
Sure, that is a very good question. I do want to finish up the prior question though, and I will take a look at it. So the question was, what does the world of Bitcoin look like if we bottomed and now we start to go straight up? It looks very strange for me, because I don't think people have felt enough pain in this bear market.
Exactly.
I remember, how many of you were around for the last bear market? Like all of it. Like you were holding Bitcoin from $1,000 and you watched it go to 150, and then you watched it spend under 200 for almost an entire year. Okay? How miserable was your life? How much less miserable is your life today? Right? And it's not because you have experienced the prior bear market. It helps you a little, but do you think the people that got into Bitcoin in 2016 felt anywhere near the misery as you did in the 2015 bear market? And that is the fundamental reason why I don't think it bottomed. Okay? So, like, I try to remove the year 2015 out of my memory. It was really, really bad. Okay? But I'm reminded of it on my wristwatch, because this wristwatch launched in 2015, and it cost me 3 Bitcoin because I really wanted this watch.
It sure beats being the Bitcoin pizza guy, though, Tone.
Yes. So those of you that were around for 2015 bear market holding from the $1,000, like, when you feel that the people of today felt your misery, that's when we're probably ready to go up. Okay? And I don't think they felt it yet. And we got some, anyone have their phone and want to keep an eye on the live stream? And if you see a good question, because I am looking at the live stream, but it's hard for me to like focus on you guys and the live stream. but I will try to do my best. Okay, so your question was the short-term trader. So I like the 10-minute chart. So we can look at Bitcoin on a 10-minute chart. I don't care for moving averages on a 10-minute chart, so let's drop that. But the sequential does work on any time frame. And looking at the last 9 that the sequential gave us on a 10-minute time frame, this would have been a pretty nice short trade. You can see it right here on the screen, right? Like, I don't have to make this shit up. So the rules of trading that I teach apply to short time frames as well. Here is a nice long bottom shadow, usually known as a hammer candle, though this has a little bit of an upper shadow, so it's not really a hammer candle. A candle like this shows strength in the market, and you can see that we are going up from that. So right now, we have a red 1. It's a 5-minute chart. It's not great, but it is in a bearish posture. You can see 1, 2, 3 consecutive lower swing highs, maybe even 4. You can see 1, 2 lower lows. Now we're a bit neutral. So we're on a 10-minute chart, and the next candle, which starts in 50 seconds, is going to give us potentially a red 2 below a red 1. So what I would do is I will make this red line right there. So if we drop, so the oscillators are pretty bullish, but I'm still ready to take the short trade. So if the next candle goes below this red line, a short trade is activated. Once that short trade is activated, my stop loss goes here. Okay, let's see what happens over the next 5 minutes. We can also go to a 5-minute chart. And you can see that we already had a red 2 go below a red 1. You'll also see we topped on a 9, though not exactly. We had a slightly higher following candle. That is why I never trade green 1s following green 9s. Just like I never trade red 1s following red 9s. I wait a full candle, and then we correct it. So there was a short trade on the table with the red 2 going below red 1 on a 5-minute scale. But we're using a 10-minute scale. So let's just wait for the current candle to drop below that candle on a 10-minute scale, with that being our stop loss. So short-term trading is not much different than long-term trading if you have the right indicators. Again, here's a 9, marks the low, and for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles of 5-minute charts, you went up. So having the ability to pick it up off the 9, hopefully in a good spot, gave you a trade that should not have lost you money. Because once you are up a substantial amount, you want to lower your stop loss. A substantial amount on a 5-minute chart is going to be a lot lower than a substantial amount on a daily chart. But it's all relative based on candle size. You don't have to give me the x-axis here. You don't have to give me the y-axis. Just need the candles. I can use the candles to judge when it's time to lower your stop loss, when it's time to do a lower, when it's time to take your profit, when it's time to take a stop loss. It's all relative to the candles. You don't really need the price or time. This is what's known as fractals. So candlesticks are fractals. That's a 5-minute, 10-minute chart. We'll leave the 10-minute chart on the screen, see what happens.
All right, we do have a question from the chat here from Joseph Green. He wants to know, will BACT be able to affect the price of Bitcoin? If so, how?
So, man, BACT has delayed itself how many times now?
Enough that I almost forgot it even is a thing anymore.
Exactly. So that's not my only problem with BACT. My other issue with BACT is I don't see why it's so special. BACT says we will give you daily delivery of Bitcoin. But Coinbase gives you instant delivery of Bitcoin. It's not actually instant due to the incompetence of Coinbase, but technically it's instant delivery. So how is Bakkt an improvement on Coinbase by doing daily delivery instead of instant delivery, right? So there's no innovation there. You can now see the red 2 going below red 1 on the 10-minute chart. Our short trade has been activated. We are now in a short trade with a stop loss at the blue line. Okay, that is a risk of $5. Now, if you are willing to lose more than $5 on a single Bitcoin trade, you can then add leverage in that trade. Your risk is $5. If you're willing to risk $100, you can do a 20x leverage trade here, right? Because if it moves against you $5, you will lose at 20x on $5. You'll lose $100. Okay, so this is the time to potentially do a 20x trade with the stop loss being $5 away. If it moves $5 in your direction, you lower that stop loss to break even. And if it's a liquid market that trades orderly, you have a trade that cannot lose you money.
We have some interesting super chat comments and questions coming in.
Please.
So somebody wants to know, if you could kill any altcoin, which would it be and why?
Probably Ripple.
Yes, found it. Respect. All right, and
maybe Ethereum. It's a really tough choice. But the thing is, I think Ethereum is way more likely to die on its own than Ripple. So it's gonna be Ripple.
I believe you may have touched on this one though. Yeah, you definitely touched on this, but they did super chat, so I do want to put it out there.
Yeah, please.
Does the limited supply or scarcity of the available Bitcoin affect anything in your short, mid, or long-term views? And I believe you did cover that a little while ago, but thanks for the super chat.
Yeah, I don't think so. Like the limited supply of Bitcoin just means that it goes through these weird, like liquidity crunches. But no, it doesn't really. I mean, the world knows the Bitcoin's a limited supply. It kind of adjusts for it.
See if I can find anybody else's.
Shelly just threw something in.
Yeah, I just saw that come in. You said you used to like to trade the 10-minute chart, but hypothetically, what time frame would you choose to trade with for all markets, not just BTC? If you had to choose only one forever.
The daily chart.
The daily chart?
Yeah. The daily chart was my favorite chart. I was trading I trade the 10-minute chart as a day trader. I trade the daily chart as a swing trader. I prefer the daily chart.
All right. And I guess just for myself, right now we're talking a lot about trading, but we've recently even seen some mainstream legacy exchanges like Quadriga and stuff like that be hacked. What exchanges are people using right now?
I don't really know what exchanges people are using. I mean, I like Bitcoin as this censorship-resistant, unconfiscatable asset. I personally don't like connecting real Bitcoin to real identity. So either I trade on a regulated market, like GBTC is the only option.
Yep.
Maybe Bakkt will have something. Until then, you wait. So either I trade a regulated quasi ETF, or I go to the anonymous exchanges that only require your email, but I never put more on the exchange than I'm willing to lose. So what that means is, if I want to make a trade for the value of 0.1 Bitcoin, and I have 1 Bitcoin on the exchange, I need to remove the 0.9. So exchanges like that usually let you trade with 1 or 2 confirmations. So if you want to make a trade, send your Bitcoin that morning. Do the trade. Put all of that Bitcoin into the trade. When you're not trading, pull the Bitcoin back out. So I still like the exchanges like Deribit and BitMax, but don't leave your Bitcoin sitting on there. All your Bitcoin should be inside of a trade.
Yep.
If all your Bitcoin is not inside of a trade, you have too many Bitcoin there. Now your trading account, you're like, I have 10 Bitcoin I'm willing to trade with, but I'm only going to put 1 Bitcoin on any given trade because I don't want to lose my 10 Bitcoin. That's great. Keep the 9 Bitcoin in your trading wallet where you control the keys. Feed in 1 Bitcoin at a time as you make a trade.
So earlier you mentioned that, the momentum we kind of gained was due to the shit coins and things like that. Do you think things like STOs have the potential to cause another shit coin pump? Or have we seen the end of these rallies around things like ICOs, STOs, and IEOs and ABC 1, 2, 3s?
No, I think the majority of the world is smart enough to understand that the only difference between an ICO and an STO is a single letter. So there's really no difference. So
they have less investor opportunity. If you're doing an STO, you ain't got all the people that actually invested in ICOs interested.
The majority of the people that were investing in ICOs had no interest in identifying themselves.
Exactly.
So going to the STO model, you are removing the 16-year-olds that were trading your coin that weren't allowed to trade anyway, and no one on Wall Street is interested in your shit. So going STO is not necessarily going to make it any better.
Liberty just asked a funny question. I got to see what your opinion is on Richard Hart's Bitcoin Hex.
So the Bitcoin Hex. So Bitcoin Hex is an obvious scam.
Absolutely agree.
Now, Richard Hart falls into this category of Fluffy Pony and Charlie Lee and maybe the Decred guys. People that don't hate Bitcoin, speak positively about Bitcoin, are very likable people in the community, have a following in the community, but they're still shitcoiners. And Richard Hart is using his reputation to give away something for free. Now,
and he's censoring Mt. Gox Bitcoin as well. So those Bitcoin will not receive the forked coins.
Those, sure. I guess that's a good thing. But look, the person that's going to have the most hex will be Richard Hart.
Absolutely.
Right? So the more coins he can prevent from being created into hex, the better it is for him.
Interesting.
Okay? So any opportunity you can make to create less Bitcoin hex and create less coins while having a bigger percentage of the coins is to your personal advantage. Okay? So everyone thinks that, well, it's just free stuff. Well, sure, they were giving away Ripple away for free as well. You give away enough stuff to cause momentum, but you still have the most offset stuff, and now it's going up in price. So the only reason to do Bitcoin Hex is for the insiders to get rich, and that's it.
Oh, and somebody mentioned a really good point that Richard Hart is data mining everybody. So yeah, be careful, guys. He's definitely selling data. I want to kind of wrap things up maybe a little bit here with one final kind of question, if anybody doesn't have any. But you're more worldly now. You've been traveling a lot all around the world. What is the general consensus of the average person that you run into as an investor, an institutional, average investor? What is their kind of opinion or perspective of Bitcoin as an investment vehicle after this, bear market has kind of come our way?
It's an interesting question. So I don't really run into too many institutional investors.
Yeah, Tone runs away from them.
Boring. I will say that I think we're in a good zone right now where people seem to know about Bitcoin. Anyone you ask seems to know about Bitcoin, but I don't know if you've noticed it lately. They don't seem to give you their stupid opinion because they just recently learned about Bitcoin. It's like they're really being cautious at this point. People are like, oh yeah, I know about Bitcoin. And then they stop. Where a year ago, they're like, oh yeah, I know about Bitcoin. And they start to try to educate you on what Bitcoin is.
Yep.
So I don't know if you've noticed, but people don't really do that anymore. So people have realized that Bitcoin is still around. They know about Bitcoin, but they also have realized that everyone knows about Bitcoin, and they probably don't know more than the guy that they're talking to. So everyone is kind of now saying they know about Bitcoin, and then they properly stop speaking. So I think that's a very good sign for the future of Bitcoin.
Yeah, people finally know what they don't know.
Yeah, they're getting there.
Nice.
Shout out to Bitcoin Uncensored there.
Speaking of shout outs, shout out your seminar tomorrow so people know where they can get in touch with you if they're in Philadelphia, PA.
Sure. So the workshop tomorrow is at the embassy. Shouldn't say. Well, considering only like 6 or 7 people are going, it's not like a bunch of people are going to show up like randomly. So it's at the Embassy Suites. So as you can see, the stop loss is about to hit. So the $5 stop loss is about to take hold. This is why you set your stop losses. Now, one of my cardinal rules is never remove a stop loss. But if you are going to remove a stop loss, you can remove it up to here. You can remove it up to the prior swing high. That's as high as you should go. Otherwise, don't ever remove a stop loss. Based on a 10-minute chart, I'm still a little bearish. However, at this point, you can potentially draw a triangle. This triangle should be in yellow because it's neutral.
I feel like I should have paid attention more in geometry.
Yeah. So you can almost start to draw this triangle. And if we get rejected right here, and we stay in this triangle, it's got to break out one way or another.
That would be a wedge, not a triangle?
Well, that's a triangle. A wedge, I don't really see a wedge here. People are saying, where in Philly am I?
We're right by 30th Street Station. We're at what? Yeah. if you're near the 30th Street Station in Philadelphia, we're right across the street.
The first meetup I ever did in Philly was inside the train station.
It was one of my first meetups, man. That was epic.
Yeah, that was definitely epic. That is definitely epic. Thoughts on the Litecoin? Okay, so I have a. You want to read it?
Yeah, I got one here from Will Jennings. Curious about your thoughts on the Litecoin halving. Does that make you bullish at all?
No, it doesn't. So the on Litecoin or on Bitcoin?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good question back. So Will Jennings, is that bullish on Bitcoin or bullish on Litecoin? So why don't you let us know, Tone?
And then we had another question from Shamil a little further up.
May have missed that one. Oh, Mike Salvi wants to give us a crypto comedy show, Tone.
Oh, you do? Okay, so
I'll sell it to you, really, but for now,
I'm gonna
point one Bitcoin. A joke.
Right, so,
We can start there.
all right, let me finish.
Where
up.
are we on
Give
the
me-
psychology of the
right.
market cycle?
Right. So give me 5 minutes and then we'll finish up. So psychology. How do you spell psychology? It's PH, right? Isn't it? Let's take a look. So I think we're back in the denial phase. I think that we have just moved from this point down here. Maybe I can like pull this up. Right. So on this scale here, man, I believe we're somewhere here in the well, people are very optimistic. I honestly,
denial, yeah.
It really feels like we're back in denial.
I'll admit that I think I am in denial, Tone.
Because if we look at this, chart, I think we have just gone from this point down here to this point up there. Because this was that big drop from 6,000 down to 3, and now we're back up halfway, maybe a little bit higher, and everyone's thinking it's in a bull market.
Yep.
So it really looks like we're in denial. On this chart, I don't see any bounces here, which is unfortunate. So this chart doesn't fit. Okay, that's the psychology of market cycles. Litecoin. Thoughts on Litecoin halving? Bullish. I am bearish on Litecoin for the Litecoin halving. A Litecoin halving is bullish for Bitcoin.
Yes.
Okay. Now, is it bullish enough for Bitcoin to drive it to new highs? Probably not. But is it bullish for Bitcoin? It is. Why is it bearish for Litecoin? Because a Bitcoin halving creates, reminds people that Bitcoin is scarce. But Litecoin isn't scarce because Litecoin is unsecured inflation on top of Bitcoin. And Litecoin has 3,000 competitors that Bitcoin doesn't. From Monero to Ethereum to Decred to whatever the hell you want to name.
So a Litecoin halving just reminds people of the Bitcoin halving and how scarce Bitcoin is. So
Litecoin halving just should educate people that there's no reason to have Litecoin, and while Bitcoin halving would create an opportunity for miners to find more valuable Bitcoin, a Litecoin halving tells Litecoin miners, what the hell are we doing?
Right.
And why are we doing it? Because Litecoin is not important and easily replaceable. So investing a shit ton of money in Litecoin mining infrastructure, only watching Litecoin disappear in the halving is a problem. So when Litecoin is mining 3 Litecoins a block, or 1 Litecoin a block, why in the world would anyone ever buy mining equipment for Litecoin? So halvings are a major problem for altcoins, but not necessarily for Bitcoin.
We just got a super chat from Gotcha.
Last
People
question.
Keep paying for us to answer these. So the last one here is DKK, whatever fiat that is, 200 of those legacy shitcoins from some government somewhere. In the depths of despair we saw in the years since 2014, still what we're looking for in a bottom, or is current surplus of optimism less important for a more mature Bitcoin?
I gotta read it myself. I'm on my 3rd drink now. In the depths of despair we saw in the years since 2014, still what we're looking for in a bottom, or is current surplus of optimism less important for a more mature Bitcoin? I'm having a hard time understanding the question.
So I think what they're trying to ask is, a lot more people are optimistic. There's more positive energy around Bitcoin with the ETFs, futures, Fidelity backed. I think that the optimism of the success may be more of a catalyst.
Optimism might do wonders and picking up girls at a bar,
Mike, I'm done.
it doesn't really apply to financial markets.
Yep, no, absolutely correct, man. Unfortunately, absolutely correct. You know, I don't think my mom thinking she has more of an opportunity to make more fiat in Bitcoin right now is a better thing for Bitcoin. Optimism might just be another word for hopium, a synonym there somewhere. But Mike Salvi wants to do a crypto comedy stand-up special for us, and
Do it.
let's see if we can get Tone to chuckle once or twice. Here,
Give him the mic. Put him right there. We'll turn the camera a bit.
Tone Bay.
Keep an eye on the live chat.
All right, everybody, this is my bro Mike Salvi. Pound that thumbs up button, and here you go. Mike yourself on that lapel.
No. Because if you wanted to hear this, you should have showed up.
Hi, how's it going? My name's Mike Salvi. How are you?
Hey, Mike, we gotta mic you up here.
I appreciate it, but that's all right. I'm gonna respectfully decline.
Ah.
We'll address that in a second.
Oh, okay, cool. So should I end the live stream then?
Yeah, I guess we should.
All right, guys. We're gonna end the live stream. Yeah, you guys should have came to the
I
meetup.
love the fact that you guys are so concerned about my future and my live stream, but this is for you guys tonight. I appreciate what you do, and no disrespect. But
Oh, non-taken. They should have showed up, Mike.
So,
Good night, guys. See you all in the next one.
thanks for checking me out. You can follow me on the Cash App at @DMikeSalvi.
There it is.